Hello, this is Richard Hatton with Bernadette Phillips from New Insights for Change. Bernadette, it's great to be speaking with you again. It's been a while. How have things been for you since we last spoke?
Well, it's great to be back speaking with you again, Richard, and which is always a pleasure, of course.
Thank you.
Things have been really interesting, actually, I suppose, looking at what I'm doing in New Insights for Change and taking it out there, further and further, and talking to more and more people about how they can live more consciously and the positive impact that living consciously can have in all areas of their lives. So it's been very exciting. So I suppose if I was to kind of bring it into the core of what I'm doing, that's very central and has been over the last while.
Thank you. Bernadette, I was on the New Insights for Change website last night, and if I just might quote, the services I offer come from a combination of lived experience, knowledge gained in life, business and academia, and essentially who I am as an intuitive. That's quite a large package, Bernadette. There's a lot of energy in there, there's a lot of experience. Can you tell me, who are you as an intuitive?
Well, I suppose firstly to say we're always learning, but the lived experience part is very important, because I think the college of knowledge was never wisdom, and therefore we, I suppose, need to be able to connect in with people about our own lived experiences, and that we have experienced the ebbs and flows of life, and that we have this human experience that we're all living through, even though we know that we have a lot more to us than that, and that's that spiritual side of ourselves. But in our humanness, in our frailties, in our own contradictions, that we would be able to connect more with one another from a heart place, and that we would be able to support one another, to heal those hearts if that's what's needed, or just to take the journey together, that we would be able to walk the path together in a more conscious way. And that is right across the mind, heart, body, soul connection. So yes, I suppose the academic side of my life is equally important from the point of view of being a sociologist, and how I look at society and how it works, but always taking the conscious into that. Can we make this world, can we make this society, can we make the communities in which we live a better place?
And Bernadette, you're speaking there about connecting with people, and I've been fortunate in having had some appointments with you, and certainly you connect remarkably with other people when they're with you, and it's something I've benefited from hugely. Your advice has been very central to me the last while. You've made some very prophetic remarks, I would have to say. And one thing I particularly like is you balance your experiences in your life with your academic achievements to bring something that's very practical to people, that's very useful, that certainly has given me direction. Not something that is always available in how would I say it, the intuitive sort of business. Can you tell me exactly, when you're with somebody, how do you connect with them in that way?
Well, everybody has an auric field, I suppose, and it's the energy field that I would first link to, and what is, I suppose, there within that energy, and perhaps what needs to be healed within that energy as well. And I suppose then to have the insight to be able to hold that space with somebody. And perhaps that's where my own training within the psychology side of things, or that area of academic side, that is also important, that I'm able to hold that space with somebody and be aware of where it is important that I can work with them on. And so I'm not just working from the intuitive side, which is always part of everything I'm doing, but I'm also aware academically of what I need to be doing, and I bring the both together. And when we do, wonderful things happen for people. because we're able to take that journey, but we're able to ground the journey, which is very important. And it means as well that we can look at really practical things that can support the everyday life of that person.
Yes.
And that's what we need to be talking about more and more in the intuitive.
Yes.
That we're looking at the everyday life of people and how can we change those so that they're better, and that people have greater insights and they connect to their own intuitive. But it needs to be, it's like when I talk to a business, you know, I need to talk strategy with that business.
Yes.
As well, and how if they change their strategy consciously, that it can change how the energy of that business operates. And so we're looking at the transformation. So from all of those areas, bringing all of that together would be very important when anybody comes to see me.
Yes. And Bernadette, you talk about running a business from the heart center. Now, the heart is symbolically, an organ that's associated with love. Really, are you talking about running a business from a loving place?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
When we talk about conscious business and doing business consciously and conscious leadership and bringing a conscious culture into business, for example, and also into our lives, because this applies in all areas of our lives, we are absolutely talking about love. And we need to be talking in the business world about love, and we need to be naming it as love.
Yes.
And reaching across heart to heart, because too much, I suppose, of life and business is lived from the head place. So it's lived from a place of logic, and we try to reason it all out. And I suppose that's where the stalemate comes in, and we've seen how that has destructively happened over the last 8 years, particularly with the recessions and things, where we are always trying to reason it. But once we make that journey to the heart and to the heart center and connect heart to heart with one another, the differences that we may have had before seem to melt away.
Yes.
We're beginning to find common ground as human beings, one to another. And I think that's such an important message that we need to be taking out to the world at this time.
Yes.
So love, love, love is what it's all about.
Well, we're feeling it here today with you, I can tell you. And on that subject, if I just might share something that happened to me recently, I was talking to a very high-flying executive friend, and we were having a discussion about sort of human virtues, and I was talking about truthfulness and honesty, and how I need maybe to be more honest with myself and truthful with myself on my own journey. And he was extremely skeptical and was almost, I think, sneering, which was not exactly a surprise. Why do you think business has become so cynical, where human virtues are abandoned in the pursuit of greed? What has happened there? Is it that disconnect from the heart that you've just been talking about?
Well, it is a disconnect from the heart, but I don't think it's just of recent times. I think we've always had that, at one level or another, maybe within business, or where people felt that they held the power. Yes. And I suppose power is what it's been all about, and it's not just within our generation, it's with many, many, many generations before that this, I suppose, attitude also has prevailed. And I suppose sadly, that's a very closed place, and it's a very tunnel visioned place, and I suppose we need as much as possible to be reaching out to people along the parallel line, as I would talk about, that people have somewhere else to step across to. So greed, yes, greed, power is a great aphrodisiac.
Yes.
But it also, power corrupts.
Yes.
But we need to be saying to people, yes, you can be in a powerful place, but you can do amazing things in that powerful place.
Yes.
And you have an obligation in that powerful place,
yes,
to do good and to support others who need that hand up, to get to where you are. And once we begin to have those kinds of conscious conversations, it's those conscious dialogues that we need to have with business, more and more and more. And I suppose the more that we're having conversations like this, the more that we're putting it out there to the world.
Yes.
Because the other side of it is that it is a business has, I suppose, a very bad press, like politics has very bad press. But contained in each of those are amazing people who really do want to make a difference in the world. So I think we can sometimes become terribly cynical and isolate people, you know, within those sectors more and more. And for me at New Insights for Change, it's about reaching across again from a heart centre, or supporting those people to make that journey to their heart centre. You know, and this sort of isn't a magic wand thing, but I think we're changing the world one person at a time. We're changing the world one leader at a time.
Yes. And
the more that we're consciously doing that every day from our own centre, the more that will change. And it is always sad to see the cynicalness about it, but then there is cynicism on both sides. Where can we meet in common purpose as people again?
Yes.
And power isn't such a negative thing. It's an amazing thing when it's worked from heart centre, and it actually can change the world very, very, very quickly. You know, we could eradicate poverty in the morning.
Yes.
If people within powerful places made that journey to their heart. So it's all there for us to have those conversations, and I think that's what we're talking about more and more.
Bernadette, really what you're saying is to infuse business practice, political practice with human virtues.
Oh, absolutely, and human values, and the values, I suppose the values that we hold within ourselves is reflected in life, and it's reflected in what we do, our behaviours, and you know how we are with one another every day, whether we have a level of respect or disrespect. That's all about values and a value system. And business understands about values at a level where our value proposition is this or whatever, you know, or the value we offer people. But we need to be talking about other values. Values like integrity, values like transparency,
Yes.
values like accountability,
Yes.
values like honesty, you know, values like really, really genuine, real respect for one another.
Yes.
And so we need to be talking about a win-win
Yes.
in business. And we need to be talking consciously in leadership about that, and creating conscious cultures within business so that there is a win-win for every stakeholder within that, and we have that integration of stakeholders within a conscious business. So that is very central to the message that I'm talking to people about as well.
And one of the things I've experienced with you personally, Bernadette, is that you live what you speak, and not many people do. In fact, that's my experience. You certainly come from a very deep place within yourself. You connect with people in that way. I've seen you twice give motivational lectures. I've seen people respond. It's almost like, Bernadette, you are reminding us, you know, that there is a better way to do this, and that we need to come back to values. And it's profound, it's really profound. I mean, I've seen people walk away deeply affected, myself included. Not at all, thank you. That comes from, as you would say, what you've gained in lived experiences, knowledge, business and academia, and who you are essentially as an intuitive. It's a very interesting word, intuition. And you use that's employed in everything you do. It's absolutely who you are, and you respond from an intuitive place every time. It's really a protection, I've noticed, as well. I mean, it protects you in this world, you know, which is, you know, can be a dangerous place.
Sure, yes, and I believe everybody has the blessed gift of intuition, you know, and if what I do supports other people to feel that they can make that step across that journey to connect with that intuitive, so that they have their own guidance from the inside out, and that they can ask their questions and go within and wait for their answers. I mean, that's just an amazing thing for me to do. And I suppose, you know, getting out of my own way again, which you may often hear me say, and I think support, you know, ourselves each day to do that, so that we can connect more with the more of who we are. And the intuitive is what it's all about. It's what actually makes the difference. It's what brings in the clarity and the focus and direction that we need for our lives.